Okay, don't make me look like an idiot. Thank you. All right, people, debate MHA versus we don't need it's MHA versus Dragon on a narrative level or like just as a series. Which is that what it is, right, Philly?
Yeah, we're trying to debate whether or not Dragon Ball Z is Dragon Ball Z or MHA is a superior series.
All right, so I'll because you gave more specific example. I'll give my a very broad over basically why I think it's superior. So I think that Dragon Ball Z, it has better character development. It has better characters, more likable characters. It has better villains. The fights are superior in basically every way, and the build up and the hype would just be superior to anything than MHA. If you're only including season 4, I can't really speak to the manga, but I'll argue against it regardless. I'll just say it has surpassed or it's still above anything that MHA has shown, especially within the 4 seasons that it has.
All right, can you show off specific examples?
Sure, I'll start with one. So, I'll just ask, do you think that MHA has better character development than like Dragon Ball Z on average or whatever?
I mean, we've seen characters routinely overcome some of their more dark side especially coming from like the first chapter when we've seen Deku go past his own limitations and try to save Bakugo.
Okay, sure. So I'll first initially I'll start with I'll go with Piccolo, right? So he's a relatively easy character, like an initial character for me to dive into. So we have Piccolo, even without like the whole the backstory of Dragon Ball, even if you weren't to take that. That Piccolo is seen as this evil force initially, right? He's this person that opposes Goku and opposes him. He even relishes in killing Goku with his special beam cannon to kill Raditz, right? So we see that like basically, he takes on it, so we see that Piccolo he consistently teams up with Goku or just the quote unquote good guys, all in order to just basically maintain like this self-preservation that he's had built into him, right? Everything so far.
Yes.
And we see this slowly but surely change when he adopts Gohan, who is this innocent person, just basically like this positive influence as he goes like on Piccolo's life. Like Piccolo initially just has disdain for him. He's like, you're just a brat, you're weak, whatever, right? And we see that throughout the 6 months of training or the year of training, I guess, that Piccolo seems to grow closer to Naruto, and it isn't this drastic change, right? And I'll get into like why this is superior, whatever. But like, it isn't this drastic change. We build the relationship between them build up slowly. Piccolo initially feels sympathy. He has this gesture of like saving Gohan from dying of starvation initially, right? But he sees this as like this is the bare minimum he needs to do to survive, right? But as time goes on, he develops his relationship with Gohan, and we see it culminate in actually risking, basically sacrificing his own life to save Gohan. And in the end, like Piccolo's initial arc or whatever of like dying is just like it's basically him finally realizing that like strength, it just for strength's sake there's no importance to that, and he's glad that finally someone saw him as someone besides a monster, right? So we just basically see him become humanized. So if we contrast that to like say My Hero Academia, right? So we see because you brought up Todoroki, so I'll mention him. We see Todoroki pull up, right? Know that he has some baggage, right? You can just tell he's one of the moodier characters, right? But we start getting development for him when in the I can't remember, the UHA Sports Festival or whatever.
UHA Sports Festival, yes.
Yeah, so we see Todoroki has that time to develop. We see that he's angry, right? And we see that basically he has this disdain for his father, because he was basically breeded to be strong, right? But then when Deku starts talking to him and he's speaking to him, just whatever, he's like, your quirk or that quirk that you have isn't your father's, right? We see that basically instantly after that, Todoroki just takes this 180 and just flips. No build up, no struggle. It's just Todoroki goes from, I hate my dad, I refuse to use this side of my quirk, to, oh, I still hate my dad, but I'm gonna use this quirk. Like, and this was something that Todoroki had set his life. Like, this was one of his largest goals, to become a hero without using that side of him. So for him to just change completely with no buildup, it just doesn't compare to even a basic development arc as Piccolo. And like I said, like Piccolo's arc still makes sense and still has like better thematic values, even if you don't have the buildup from Dragon Ball.
We've seen. All right, may I go? All right.
Yeah.
So even try to bring like Deck versus Todoroki, there is at least some form of buildup throughout the majority of the fight. You also have to take into consideration the complexity of Todoroki's character, where his will might have been beaten down to the point where he could probably has a weaker will than a lot of the other people. But at the same time, he found someone that can actually, help him get past the certain traumas from his own father.
Okay.
And you're trying to like frame it as him just like, oh, Deku says that my quirk is mine. No, it's not correct, because as we saw in the next fight, he just didn't use it, which is probably due to one out of like not much use with the quirk, but at the same time there's probably still some of the hesitation there.
Sure. So I'll whatever, go against that point. I mean, you brought it up yourself. Todoroki is not aware of really how to use his quirk very well. We see that like he has basically no control over it in his fight versus Deku, right? And I'll get to the fights later, but like in his fight versus Deku, basically, we see that he has no control over it. So using it against a stronger opponent, it's not more of a thematic sense. It's just strength-wise, it wouldn't make for him to try to use this uncontrollable quirk against Bakugo when he doesn't know how that'll work against him, or if that'll work in his favor or against him, right?
I mean, I could probably refute that with saying he was giving Deku a challenge and gave him his wish. Like we've seen other characters for other shonens do that before.
Sure, but I would just say My Hero hasn't like really played that. Like I would just say like this isn't an example that My Hero Academia.
Also, you said Piccolo got used to Naruto, which was kind of the wrong series, by the way. So you're trying. I
guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say me. Okay, so I'll say this: me misnaming a character, whatever, doesn't really make it less shallow. I just know Naruto, and I've been talking about Naruto like all day. But it's likely I'll say this: I don't think you'd be able to refute the fact that Piccolo's development, even in that short span of time, has more build-up than Todoroki's does. Do you disagree?
I would probably say there's at least some disagreements there, because we've seen his character go backstory before, and you have the similarities to Gar. You have some similarities to Zuko type of character.
So okay, so say he mirrors Gar, right? Or say he's like this kind of. Yeah. So I would just say Todoroki, even if he tries to take on the aspects of Gar, he's just a dollar store version of him. Like he's just a knockoff attempt.
Why would he be a knockoff?
Because he doesn't execute on the themes as well as Gaara does. But that would more lead me into explaining why Naruto would just body MHA. But like that's not the point. It's basically so you think that Todoroki is based off of Naruto, right? Or like not based off of Naruto, but he's like akin to Naruto. To me, it just shows that Todoroki doesn't really have his own character that you can describe as his own. He has to be based off the other these other characters from superior series, like in order for you to even describe him. Like when you were describing him, you were saying he's this, like he kind of mirrors Gaara. Like you can't even, like there's not enough like quality traits within Todoroki, at least at this point in time, that you can even name off of him. You can say he has a backstory. He has a backstory where he got water put on his face. Or hot water put on his face,
got the
right?
Star, which represents some of the trauma, like the kanji symbol for love for Gaara.
Sure, but like I said, like this is all. So you're saying, so like it's this knockoff version, right? I don't want to.
How would he be a knockoff version, though? How would he be a knockoff version?
Do you know what a knockoff is? It's not the original. It's not the name brand.
I know what a knockoff is.
So again, if Todoroki,
a knockoff version of Gaara, there are inspirations of different characters, and then
no. I'm not saying that. So first of all, a knockoff would just be not the original, right? Since Todoroki didn't become before Gaara, and you're making the comparison, I'm just claiming that Todoroki's a worse execution on Gaara's character than Gaara is. So that's why I'm saying he's a knockoff, because he doesn't execute the same themes that Gaara tries to as well as Gaara does. So that's why, like, that's literally why I'm saying he's a knockoff, because he would fit that definition perfectly in my mind, right? So continuing on with, like, he's just a quote unquote knockoff or a dollar store version of him or whatever, right? And then basically he can't execute on his own themes. He has a bad backstory, right? This backstory isn't built up. It's seen once or twice, and then he just completely 180s. Like, he just changes. There's no like, all of the changing point within Todoroki's character, all of like the quote unquote buildup that happens is just within the fight between him and Deku. Whereas we see Piccolo over multiple episodes get this gradual change that if you like really look into it, you're able to see just how important this is, right? I'm also talking about Piccolo, one of the people that is probably less deep in terms of their character development, versus Todoroki, who, from what I've heard at least, is considered one of the most deep characters. So, but you can continue.
All right. You've been so you're trying to say that he can't look at the themes of like Gaara and stuff like that. But I don't think that can necessarily like take off the argument, because we're trying to debate who's a more deeper character here.
Piccolo. Sure. So I'm not debating the deepness or the lack thereof of character. Right now, I'm focused on the development. So, like, the way to debate this is like have like this set of like this like these standards that we have, right? Like, what makes an anime important? Like the emotional scenes, the fights, the development, right? Would you agree?
Well, we've seen philosophical battles in Naruto itself as well. Like,
so okay, so yeah, I'm like, so I'm basically saying like you agree that like the philosophy behind the characters, the like the fights, the build up, the like the character development are all quintessential to having like a good series.
I can make the argument that Deku being
hold on. I'm asking. I'm not like I'm asking. Like, do you agree that these are the things that like good stories are built on, like the development of the characters themselves, animes or mangas, like case.
I'm
like,
not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing.
Okay, so that's where I'm saying like I'm basically saying that like whether or not you think Piccolo is a deeper character or not is something that I'm not arguing against at this current point in time. I'm saying that Piccolo's development, even as not like a quintessential character, is just better over like it. The development is just more gradual and better. Basically, that means when the buildup is longer and it's basically stretched out, like it's just building up, right? Then we see when the change actually happens, the impact is just that much greater. So like, for example, like, or not even for example, I'll just take Piccolo. So Piccolo's this gradual buildup, right? You see his character slowly changing, right? He's slowly changing into this better and better person. And then we see the culmination of that. He finally sacrifices his life for someone besides himself, and he does something that's outside of self-preservation, right? But it's not just this. He just doesn't turn on the dime and just whatever. He's not just like, oh, I'm going to be good now, right? Todoroki has a buildup that lasts like 3 episodes of like not even at all being focused on him. It's his mom saw him as a monster. She threw boiling water on his face. He was like, all right, I'm not using fire anymore. And then basically instantly after this controversy or like this problem is brought up, we see that it's changed immediately by Deku. So I just say that the buildup is worse. All right. So that's like my main point that I'm arguing for right now, that the buildup between like the development for Todoroki.
Okay. I'm trying to find if there was like the flashback scan with Todoroki, like with if there was a flashback scan there, or was like,
while you're doing that, right? That's fine. Are there other characters that you'd
Deku, of course. We've seen this character multiple times get past through his limitations. We see him in Against the Sludge Villain trying to like get past his limitations. And I don't think that's necessarily something that lacks development, because he's been waiting his entire life. But even then, he admits himself that his legs are moving on his own, but he was able to get past those limitations. Kind of like in reflection to Naruto being able to get past some of his limitations and make 1,000 fucking Shaolins against arguably one of the weaker Chunin versus when Deku was trying to at least help save the Sludge Villain. I could at least say that there's also arguably a bit more realism there between MHA and stuff like that, unless you want to argue. But Naruto is another discussion for another day.
Yeah. So okay, so I'll get into Deku and kind of like deconstruct that or his development. So as long as we're going in like season 1, right? Because I do agree that like Deku's develop, right? And even though I'm obviously saying that DBZ has more value, I'm not gonna just bash on MHA for no reason. But season 1 Deku, right? We see that his development is slow, right? It's the buildup, right? Just like I said, like that's pretty important, right? You need this buildup, right?
We both
But
acknowledge.
the thing is, Dragon Ball Z has a character just like that, and his name is Gohan. Gohan is essentially, in my eyes, and I'll be arguing for like my opinion, is a like a Deku before Deku, and I would argue he does it better, and and it's more exciting seeing Naruto, right? Because I'll get into it. So like we see Deku, right? Deku starts off weak. He's extremely weak. He's quirkless in the world where quirks are necessary to be anything important or strong or whatever, right?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, yeah. So we see that Deku kind of like he starts to like he has the heart of a hero, right? But his body can't keep up, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we see that when Deku gets one for all, right? And I'll get into one for all, but we see when Deku gets one for all, right? That like basically his development shifts from that of a mental aspect to that of a physical aspect. Do you agree?
Well, yes.
Okay. So so we've agreed that like since Deku's heart is already in the end game, since Deku already has end game mindset, his body is now what needs to adapt, right?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, so his motivations don't change, right? So, and now we see Gohan, right? So we see Gohan starts off as weak, right? He's this person with amazing potential, but can't tap into it, right? So we see that. We then see that like as Gohan gets his training, as Gohan's potential is nourished, he starts to basically get stronger. He's physically developing, right? Just like as you would if you're growing or whatever, right? And we see that, but the thing is, as Gohan physically develops, his mindset stays the same, right? And the thing is, the reason I find this so interesting or so intriguing is like Gohan is like you have to keep in mind, Gohan is 5 at this point in time. Like in the Saiyan saga, right? It makes so much sense. It makes Gohan such a human character compared to all of these behemoths, these Gokus, these Piccolos, all these hardened warriors, right? And Gohan sticks out like a sore thumb. He has the potential to surpass all of them, but he's
Deku kind of sticks out like a sore thumb as well with the lack of confidence that he has.
Yeah, but hold on. You can argue against it in a sec, but like basically, I'm saying that like Gohan is like a humanizing character at this point. Like he is someone we can attack ourselves. Right? He's the person we look towards, and we can just say, okay, I understand where he's feeling. These are hardened adults just attacking him, and of course he's scared, right? Of course he has these feelings, right? But he's able to get over it. He's able to push through it, right? And I believe that like we see that the only reason he's able to push through is through other people, right? He's basically like it's like so Gohan has this build up. His friends are getting attacked, and I don't know if you're aware, like you remember this, but like Piccolo and Krillin set Nappa up for like this team attack, and Gohan was supposed to finish it, right?
And
Gohan fails, right? We see, like, I don't want to go too far into it, but like we see even like in the Cell saga, Gohan still remembers this moment, and he still has this shame of not being able to help his friends. We can go back to that later, but like I just want to say, like, Gohan's development is something that is just spectacular because we that like he is a slow burn. Gohan is like his body's developing, right? But his body is developing far faster than his mind is, right? But yet it's like they're both developing, right? Deku isn't the same thing. His mind is way more developed than his body is, right? And you can argue one is inherently better than the other. Gohan is developing on basing on two different planes, whereas Deku is staying on one. His mind is already at the end goal. His body isn't. Gohan's body and mind are never at the end goal, at least in the saga. Right? Do you understand, like, basically, like, Gohan's developing on two fronts: physical, right, which is very important in a shonen, and mental, which is very important if you're looking into the depth of the story. Deku only develops on the physical sense from here. But yeah, I've talked for a little bit of time.
What happened afterwards of all the character development in between in the Buu saga?
Yeah, so I mean,
he regressed as a character. He didn't train for 7 years. With all the responsibility, with the responsibility of being Earth's most powerful protector, He did not train for 7 fucking years.
Sure. So I'll get in. If you want me to, I can get into why that's probably one of the. Like, I don't like that. I like badass Naruto. I like him just as much as the next guy. But I can explain to you why that makes so much sense and why that's like just narratively just this powerful ass thing. Here. I'll show you. I wanted to go in chronological order, but that's fine. Since we're on Gohan, I'll get on, right. So see, I'll quickly give a synopsis of like Gohan, right? He's stronger. He understands, right? All of his development over seasons and arcs of training. He just culminates to the Cell Saga, right? He releases all of his anger, all of the hatred that he has built up, and all of his power, right?
Yes.
It culminates into this beautiful scene of him transforming and finally becoming someone who isn't himself anymore. He became that Gohan that isn't our Gohan, right? You understand that, correct? Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is not Gohan. I know that's weird, right? It's like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? But like, we see that like Gohan is this caring, intelligent, kindred spirit, right? But when his rage plays into it, like when the Saiyan biology just snaps, right? When that comes into it, we see that like Naruto literally becomes a different person. He takes on a different persona, right? So we see that in the 7 years of peace, right? Why should Why should Gohan be a different person? I'm sorry. Why should Gohan be a different person?
Because he has more responsibilities.
Why? Responsibilities to who?
He's the most powerful protector of the universe. He should have at least had some form of training.
So I'll ask you a question. All right. So you have responsibilities, right? Every human being has a responsibility.
Yes.
Right? We have a responsibility to keep our habitat safe, right? Do you agree? Sure. Like we need to. I know I'm getting weird with this, but it's all gonna tie back. I promise. Oh man. But yeah, basically, like we have a responsibility to like, pass the gift that we call life on to other people. We have to keep this planet, and we have to pass it on, right? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So why are you not out there making sure that the world is safe? Why are you not out petitioning and making sure that our world is safe for the next generation? Why? It's your responsibility.
But there's a difference here. We're in a difference.
Hold on. No. Listen,
we're not the most powerful being in the universe, and we don't have.
Neither is Gohan.
Yes, he is. Goku was dead for 7 years.
He's not the strongest. Hold on. First of all,
on the Earth at the time, Gohan was the strong. By the end of the Cell Saga, he was the strongest. And then in a period of time, for 7 years.
Okay. Let me ask you this: it's fair for you to ask someone to be someone that they're not for other people? Why should Gohan have to risk his life, or basically risk his emotional state for other people? Why does he owe them that? Wait, hold on. Why? Why does he owe them that? Because Because it gets down to a very basic question.
The same sacrifice to the world.
Yeah, but why does he have to? Why does he have to? Why does he have to be his dad?
Because he's also partially to blame for his death.
Yeah, but he's also the reason that the Earth is still alive. Like the Earth still exists in the first place.
Yeah, but the fact is he never had the same regrets like he did when he failed against Nappa. Remember when you said yourself that he had those same memories of him failing versus Nappa. Where are those same failures when it comes to him?
So having some form like psychological. So on multiple fronts, Gohan actually regressing and just Gohan's development as a whole is probably the most human thing. Like I know I said this a lot, but like the most human emotion or this most basic thing, right? It's adversity. Like through adversity, bro, right? That's like at the most basic form. That's what evolution is. You evolve through adversity. Something almost kills you. You realize, oh, let me change. Let me adapt, right? So we see that as Gohan faces adversity, his mind and his body strengthens, right? He gets stronger. He gets faster. He understands that some sacrifices need to be made, right? But what happens when there's no more adversity? He becomes complacent. He gets lazy, right? And whether or not you like that, that's fine. That's your like that. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't like it, but it makes sense.
But
if you aren't being but if you aren't being pushed
I don't think it's an
daily
excuse
to
for him,
strive
though,
to a goal.
I don't think it's an excuse for him though, because in a period of like a couple years and like a couple time skips, the piece is literally gone again, and there's a new threat every time. And he was trained in between.
So it's a 7-year, right? There's this 7-year skip of just peace and like whatever, right? Gohan's dad is gone. Gohan has dreams and aspirations of his own.
And
why?
There's a possibility he could balance it. We've seen people.
Why? How?
As students,
How?
we've been able to.
You can't balance everything.
As students, we are able to balance our stuff every time. I was a wrestler and also an art.
But listen, you have to prioritize something, don't you? There has to be priorities. People are not meant to multitask. Hold on. People at the most basic level are not meant to multitask. I don't know if you've realized, right? But like when you try to perform 2 tasks of equal difficulty at the same time, you don't do either correctly, right? If you try to do something, both of those are taxing on your brain, right? Or both of those are taxing on you, right? So for Gohan, to be this defender of Earth, but still be this kind-hearted, kindred kid, he is still, you have to consider this, he is still 16 at the time. Naruto, he's my age. Like, imagine having the burden of the world's safety being placed on your shoulders, and you expect Gohan to just take that on in stride. You just expect a 16-year-old. This weight was given to him as an 11-year-old. Like, he was literally told this, or like at a 9-year-old.
11, and he went above that and beyond that at the age of 11.
But that wasn't him. Like, this is why it's so important, because that Gohan that transforms, the Gohan that goes above, is not him. That is a different person. And the thing is, we see that different person. The thing, like, you talk about like this regression, right? But the thing is, we see him literally develop again in that arc. He just go back to how he was in the Cell Saga. He develops to a different. He doesn't. Okay, let me calm down. Anyways, he develops, right? He goes to the stage of the Super Saiyan 2. He gets arrogant. He gets cocky. That's when he gets his ultimate form, right? But we see down for Gohan. He's not filled with rage, even though he's arrogant. That's just a problem that we see with Saiyans, right? Character flaws are extremely important when, like, dealing with them, right? So, like, we see that Gohan's flaw is just this arrogance, right? That's fine. Like, when he gets in, like, when he realizes he has the strength advantage, he has arrogance. But we also notice, just if you're really paying attention, a minute difference, right? Teen Gohan, right? If you remember, he was filled with this rage. He said, like, Cell, I'm not going to kill Cell, not because, like, I want to toy with him or he can't hurt me, because I'm going to, like, make him pay for what he did, right? Versus Boo, he says, I'm like, fight you, I'm going to kick you, right? You would think, oh, these are similar scenes. He's being arrogant. But you have it. In the Boo saga, he's being arrogant because he knows he can win. In the Cell Saga, he's being arrogant and basically being like this twisted, sadistic way because he's angry. He's no longer Gohan in the Cell Saga, but in the Boo Saga, he's actually changed and he's developed. But the thing is, wait, hold on.
It leads to him getting absorbed by Boo.
Okay, but hold on. Do you think that character flaws like are bad?
I'm not saying character flaws are bad, but I would expect that arrogance to be toned down a bit in between arcs.
All right, I'm gonna scale it back a little bit. Like, so you can attack the points, or you can make your own points.
You made the point itself that you expect character development, but apparently, when it comes to someone like Gohan, oh, what's this? Try to give Philly more time to make.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can attack whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything you've got.
We've also seen with Deku. We have seen him. He does have a lot of knowledge. And back to like when we go to like Deku for a quick second, we've also seen Deku actually having to fully develop, because he hasn't developed in another game confidence, because for most of his entire life, around from like in a social aspect. And and also in a physical aspect, he's been a wimpy boy, and he isn't the very most sociable guy, and he's not the most confident. He still has developed from 2 different aspects: the confidence and ability to become a hero, and to go beyond just being automatic and just being fucking automatic, and also into the physical aspect, which he has to eventually get to the point where he can actually master one for all. Which also has a theme, which also, in terms of how it was given to him, All Might saw him as a successor. He saw all the similarities inside of him, because again, when he was able to fight the sludge villain, he saw similarities between him, the impulsiveness to save somebody, which is a difference, which can be a massive difference between life and death, which everyone has an ability to eventually get past their limits, and everybody eventually has an ability. But when the time runs out, for that one scene, I could probably argue that when we've seen Deku throughout his entire childhood and having his dreams spat upon by Mon Society, we have all seen society spit upon our dreams and say you can't do fucking shit. But we've always tried to find ways to prove them wrong. But eventually, it just takes you down a bit. It just destroys you. In a more realistic sense, it just drains you eventually, and you do eventually think, "What if they're right?" And even then, Deku would have been ready to quit if All Might had not approached him, because not even his own idol, the person who he looked up to, at first didn't believe he could become a hero until he actually saw what he fucking did.
You want me to? Okay, go ahead, continue.
Let me wait.
Just if you want me to, because I have counters like literally everything. I have something I want to speak to rather than like a counter. I don't know. Narrative.
And we've also at certain points in MHA seen also other themes such as abuse and also Stockholm syndrome with Eri. If you remember from like the original season 4 anime, we've seen Eri having to like deal with the fact that she thinks she's cursed. She thinks that everything she touches dies, and everything that she's involved with dies. We've seen that when she wanted to go back to freaking Chisaki in order to save, of course, Deku and Mirio and everybody. She didn't want, but eventually, when you see that one moment where she's able to want to at least feel the touch of Izuku's warmth, because for the first time she felt something that she hadn't felt, which was what's more of like a friendly love? What's the word for friendly love again? Like, I
mean, I get what you mean, but okay, so I mean, you kind of jumped around a bit there, but like I can follow so far.
Also, we've seen Deku eventually try to adjust to becoming the guy in the spotlight eventually, but yeah, okay, you can go on.
Okay, so we finally. So I just want to like kind of wrap up the Gohan thing by saying this. Like it'll segue me into like talking about Deku, right? So do you agree that like a flaw is like a bad thing, right? I mean, it's a base question, but
think character flaws are bad, but I expect
no. I don't mean like a character having a flaw. I mean like you understand that like a character flaw within a character should be punished, right? Like they're basically like, okay, this like we see like when why do I keep doing that? Anyways, like these flaws in the character should be punished, right? They should be developed to realize, hey, this isn't the thing. Like this isn't what is
relationship. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we see that Gohan's arrogance, right? His character flaw is punished. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that I would say that's like that excellent use of like a character flaw and punishing it. Every time Gohan's arrogance realizes that he gets shows the development, because afterwards we never see Gohan like act that way again. He never gets in over his head in that type of way, like that arrogant attitude, right?
Wait,
now let's go to Deku, right?
Where were you referring to that last point too?
What happened?
Where are you referring to the last point too, where Gohan's not that arrogant again?
What do you mean? I'm just saying, like, we never see Gohan.
Are you keeping him with like the Z-verse or Super?
I mean, either one, I guess. I don't know.
We're specifically debating in between, like the actually DBZ.
Sure. I mean, like I said, that's
DBZ,
fine.
not Super.
Sure, I'm saying that's fine. Okay, what's your point? I'm saying a character. Listen, I'm saying this is because this is important to my point. Gohan's character flaw is punished, right? And a character flaw should be punished. It's not the truth. That's not like being overconfident isn't a good trait, right? Or that's what the theme is trying to say, right? You agree?
Yes.
So do you also agree that like Deku's dream was like being able to become a hero, right? And people were downing him because he didn't have a quirk, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So we see that Deku's character flaws is impulsiveness, right? Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know if that's necessarily a flaw, but okay.
Sure. Okay, so I'll argue that it's a flaw because in most situations, outside of the convoluted situation of him running against Bak, like literally, plot or whatever, but the only reason he survives his impulsive return.
How is that
How
plot?
is it? Hold on. How is it plot convenient that All Might happened to show up to save him when literally every other hero that stood there was like, we can't get close enough to save that.
Yeah,
kid.
and All Might was the only guy who could actually beat him. And All Might,
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
All Might to buff up and get past limits.
I'm saying it's, but what I'm not saying
because
it's
of his
bad.
own actions. If a quirkless boy is going to go out of the way, if his quirkless boy is going to try to get past his own limits, why shouldn't I? That's what you have to look at. There's not.
Sure. So, on though, I'm not done. But what I'm saying, all I'm saying is this: like, I'm not saying it's bad yet. I'm saying it's plot convenient, right? The strongest hero, the only that could have gotten in, happens to be there, right? Do you agree that it's just a lucky random occurrence? Like
we also like to exclude all the events, and we also okay. I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's necessary.
The thing is, we see the reason Deku gets noticed is because his impulsiveness, right? We all like the reason that Deku even gets one for all is because of his character flaw. Like, because he's so retarded. I mean, you can say like, oh, he's being heroic, but like there's a line between being heroic and being dumb, right? We see that Deku tries to walk that tightrope very thinly, and initially he is leaning towards the side of being impulsive to a flaw, right? He's acting upon instinct, and he's acting upon, like, that's fine, right? You want to be heroic, you want to save people, but he has to think realistically. There was no way in that scenario that he would come out alive if All Might wasn't there, right? So
he had to do something at that moment in time.
He had it, but okay. So the thing is,
he came to the conclusion that he had to do something at that point in time.
Yeah, and I'm saying that conclusion is a flaw, like, it's a flawed aspect. I'm saying that Deku learns, like, to think smarter, right? He's like, do you agree, right, that he's not as impulsive now in season 4 than he is in season, like, I can't just run against an opponent that I have no chance against and hope to just brute force them, right?
Yeah.
Like, Deku's strategy amounted to throwing at the slime, right? But that's fine.
It actually blinded him. It actually blinded him.
What did Deku do? What did Deku do?
He threw it. He was able to.
Hold on. No. I'm asking a very no.
He was able to get Bakugo breathing room, dude.
No. Hold on. I'm gonna ask you a very simple question. It's very simple. Like, it's like literally yes or no. All right. Would Deku have saved Bakugo if All Might wasn't there?
I don't.
Just yes or no.
I don't think. I don't know. That's a good. I don't think we. I don't know. Understand the relevance of the argument.
No, right?
I don't understand how it's relevant to the argument.
You don't have to understand it yet.
How is that relevant to the argument, though?
I'm about to explain. If you don't come here, I just need an answer.
How is that?
Okay, so I'll assume, because you can't say yes, that it's no.
I was saying
if you did say yes, I would demand. Hold on. If you did say yes, I would demand that you show me like him being able to actually do anything.
You would, because Bakugo, because he was.
Look, how.
Because Bakugo was one of the people he grew up in childhood.
No, how did he save him?
Again, he was able to give Bakugo a breath of air. If Bakugo doesn't get that gas, he might suffocate.
Yeah, so he's prolonging his death. Good job. He gives him an extra 10 seconds to survive. That's not saving him.
He was at least trying to get him out of there.
And why does trying to?
Has his character.
Okay, hold up. Let's calm down a little bit. More song on Billy's part. Just relax. All right.
Okay. So the reason, right, it's basically, I'm trying to show that, like, whereas in Dragon Ball, character flaws are punished, impulsiveness is punished, arrogance is punished, Deku gets rewarded for being retarded, right? He gets rewarded for running out into the heat of battle and just clawing at this monster he has no hope of defeafting, right? He gives Bakugo a breath of air, right? 10 seconds later, Bakugo will be consumed. Hold on. Wait. Right? He goes out, right? And whatever you want to say, oh, it's him going beyond his limit, whatever, right? He's being impulsive at the most basic. Hold on, wait, please.
Okay.
At the most basic level, right? He's being impulsive. That's my claim, right? And the thing is, he's rewarded for this by getting the strongest quirk in existence, right? And the thing is, the themes of him, like, oh, you're making it past your dream. Oh, you're succeeding in your dreams, even though no one believed in you. No one believed that you would be able to become a hero with no quirk. Deku proved them right. He couldn't become a hero without his quirk. He barely became one with his quirk. Like he struggled to get into the hero like exams with the quirk that he did have. Like how is Deku getting one for all? Whether you think it's impulsivity or not, a character flaw or not, how does Deku getting this insane ability, this basically gift, like a metaphorical gift from God, this talent or whatever, mean that showing people that he can become a hero without a quirk?
Though he earned it.
Did he? Hold on. Would that ability come to him if it wasn't given to him?
It what he
Could
earned.
Could Deku push him?
Months. He first had to train for. He first had to be.
Yeah, but okay. So I'll ask you this:
they had to train had to do the work to get one for all. Like
sure. So if Deku does that 10 months of training and doesn't eat hair, where is he at?
What it was given to, but that was his reward for his work. What?
If he hold on, I'm asking a simple question. If he doesn't get given the hair, does he become a hero? Or does he? No, right?
And I'll give you this question: what if Piccolo didn't train Gohan? Where would Gohan be at?
If Gohan didn't train, I mean, anybody could have trained. Anybody could have trained. Anybody could have trained Gohan. If Piccolo didn't
take Gohan, where would he be at?
He'd be taken in by Kami or one of the Earthlings. That's literally what was supposed to happen, but people yeeted him out of the battlefield. Like literally, the Earthlings would have just trained him, and Naruto have been more compassionate. Like that's all. Like that's it. But if Deku not given that piece of hair, that Goldilocks strand of whatever All Might made him ingest, he doesn't become a hero. So I'm saying like him having to get this gift is the antithesis to the themes that you're trying to say Naruto presents. The themes that with hard work and effort you can reach this goal. No, apparently you can't. You have to get magical hair from this buff dude if you want to. Like you have to get lucky.
If Naruto didn't learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu and
Naruto's irrelevant.
No, it goes back to a similar argument. They both have a similar theme, but you like Naruto, but you like Naruto as well.
Okay, so even if I spit on Naruto,
we've seen other stuff. We've seen how that works as well. If Naruto doesn't show up to Shadow Clone Jutsu, he doesn't graduate.
After this I can debate you on why Naruto's better than MHA if you want, but like at this point in time I can just say Naruto's a horrible show and that just defeats your argument. Whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. If I just say Naruto holds no value compared to Dragon Ball,
no, I'm not trying to say that Naruto's a bad show. I'm just saying that I would be calling that at that point you would be calling you a hypocrite because you're trying.
No, I wouldn't. So what I'm saying is like I put you in this corner here, right? So like basically I've shown that like your interpretation of my heroes, like or Deku specifically themes, get contradicted by like the actions that we see in the series, right? Your response to that, okay, well other series do it. Well, what if I just say those series are bad? Where do you go from there? If you say, well, Naruto did it, well, Naruto's a bad series, what do you do? How do you respond to me saying that?
I could literally
How? Literally what?
I would probably be backed into a corner, yes. I would have to
Yes. So if I say Naruto's a bad show, and in the realm of this debate, sure, I can say that. Whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. I could just say it's that show, and since we're not debating it, that's fine. As long as I say that like it holds no value, like it inherently being tied to Naruto does not make it this flawless or whatever. It doesn't make this. It put it on a pedestal, right? Because something else did it. Like because someone else did something does not make your actions right. And the same thing goes for this series. Because another series did it and did it better does not make your series good or doesn't make the themes make sense. So that's what I'm saying. Like you've been back, like, and this isn't like this one thing isn't like the
we haven't.
Go ahead. So this is just for development, right? We agree.
We're just going out. We're just at the moment going for development and stuff like that. Yes, I guess.
Yeah. So far, would you say like I'm curious because like I want to know what you're thinking so I can like go after those points. Do you think that I've proven or argued that Dragon Ball Z has just with two characters being pit up against each other that my characters have better development? Or, I mean, I guess you got to disagree, but I don't know.
I disagree. Why would I agree?
I mean, I guess it was naive of me to think, but like, so what? Why? Like, after everything that I've said, why?
Because Deku again. Even you keep referring to where did he eat the hair? What if he wasn't recognized by All Might? By actually acting off of that, by actually trying to save Bakugo. Again, he had his dreams. Again, it could have if you hadn't tried to save Bakugo, where would he be at?
All I'm saying is this: the hard work theme, that like whole, if like basically, because Deku old, without a quirk you can't become a hero, right? Right? Do you agree? That's what he said. That's what's said to
Yeah.
him. Okay. Does Deku prove wrong? Simple yes or no.
He can become a hero. Yes.
No. I said
Yeah.
no. Prove that he can become a hero without a quirk. Without no.
He said, "Yes, young man, you can become a hero."
With his quirk. Like the All Might himself literally says, without a quirk, you're not going to become a hero.
And then after that, he said, "Young man, he can't be. You too can become a hero."
Yeah, and you realize what the prerequisite for that was? You have my quirk, the strongest quirk in existence. Yeah, that's some heavy criteria. The one for all, like that quirk, like wow, you have to be really impressive to take my quirk. Like literally, like I'm saying that like Deku doesn't. It would have made so much more sense. It would have been so much better if Deku was somehow able to grind himself, like just climb his way to the top even without a quirk. It would have made so much more sense thematically, right? But it doesn't. He gets a magical quirk that just amps his strength and speed to these ridiculous levels. And even without full control of his quirk, he can body Bakugo, who's been training with his quirk and actually has had it for years. Oh, okay. Makes sense.
No. He literally
yes.
He didn't body Bakugo. He beat Bakugo, but he didn't body him. What he did.
God. I'm saying saying body is just a choice of words. He beat Bakugo in the objective. He outsmarted. He outplayed Bakugo with a quirk he acquired like a couple of weeks ago. Versus
because Deku fought had the intelligence. Yes,
Bakugo is actually smarter than him within the series. That's actually canonical. Bakugo was higher grades, and he's said to be a tactical genius.
Hold on.
I showed two
that people are smarter in different areas.
I showed two fronts. A tactical. He is considered the tactically smartest fighter.
Yeah,
and he has the highest grades. So like on two fronts, he would be superior to Deku in terms of like their intelligence, right? So that means that Deku didn't he didn't outfight him. Like he didn't like outsmart him. Sure, he lured him into a place where he could punch upwards. Like, okay, sure, good job. Like you punch up at an explosion. But the only reason he was in that position is because his quirk was strong enough to just out muscle Bakugo's, right? And I don't care. Like it's just due to the fact that it's the antithesis to the themes that you've brought up. Now you try to bring up others that my hero tries to tackle or other ways that Deku develops, but so far the way you presented it, it's a moot point. It's he gets a magical ability. He gets an ability. He gets a once in a lifetime opportunity, a 1 in a million chance, and we're supposed to admire that. We're supposed to attach ourselves to him. I'd much rather attach myself to Gohan, a human character.
He could have literally failed during the 10 months of training.
How could he train? How could he fail? How could you fail with the list that he gave? He could give up, but sure. Yeah, we already see that Deku's not that character, so he's not developing by not giving up.
Well, again, we've already seen. Okay, that's fair. Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah, by Deku not giving develop, he just stays the same and does what he would have done anyway. This time, he just gets a magical ability tied to it.
Okay,
like I'm saying Deku's basically like. His whole if you were to just take Deku's initial season 1 thing, his just whole I can't become a hero without a quirk. All Might says yeah. His classmates say even he says yeah. What was I thinking? And guess what? Is that point? Is it challenged? Is it contradicted? No, it's substantiated by the fact that he needs a quirk to even become strong. He needs the number 1 hero in the entire world to cater to his every need in order to catch up to the horrible head start that everybody else has had on him. Why can you or I connect to that? Why can I connect to his development? I don't have a superpower. I don't have this. No one told me to eat their hair. I didn't get this one for all, right? Would you rather connect to that person? Or would you rather connect to the child who was surrounded by these incredible monsters? The person that we can eat through, right? This person that develops with us. He's scared.
Deku, bitch.
When Gohan's scared, when Frieza pulls up and Gohan's sweating, I'm sweating too. I am scared as shit. I don't know what to do. He just transformed 4 times, and I can see through Gohan's eyes. Gohan, from my point of view, is someone who we get to place ourselves as, right? Deku, what sure he's put down, right? But the thing is, the difference between me and Deku, or the difference between you and Deku is you had an opportunity, or he had an opportunity to change. Where's your opportunity? You're stuck. I'm stuck. We're all stuck. No, but Deku got this one in a million chance. Yeah, that's a real relatable character if you ask.
Yeah, and Gohan got a 1 in a million chance to literally train with one of the more powerful Namek.
Anyone could have trained him and he would have developed. And it's
How do
not
you
even
have-
and the thing is, it's
that?
not even
You
the
have
thing
evidence
is,
for that?
the thing is, sure.
Yeah.
You want me to show you that Piccolo took him away? Sure, I got you.
No, I want you to like say that. No, I want to bring up a scan that would say that he would have got that if he hadn't gotten the same train from Piccolo, he wouldn't have developed the same.
Hold on. Now, I'm saying this because this is how I speak, so I don't. No, I'm not even gonna say that. Never mind. Okay. Oh God. Let me say this. Deku. So I've already explained how Deku only he only develops on a physical front, and I didn't really speak to the confidence. But since the confidence, like he is, like the thing is, we see that his confidence factor doesn't really play a part into anything because, like, whenever push comes to shove, he just does whatever his instincts tell him, and his instincts are usually telling him to be heroic. So confidence doesn't play a part into it, right? We see that Deku only develops physically, right? We've already agreed from the start. I said Gohan develops mentally and physically. So Gohan merely seeing people fight, right, is just him developing mentally. Gohan realizing that sometimes you have to like swallow whatever feelings you have, whatever like this emotional connection you have to like you just want to be peaceful or whatever, right? Sometimes you have to understand that's not always an option, right? So even if you were to say he didn't train with Piccolo, what would happen then? He still develops mentally. What if Deku doesn't get his quirk? He doesn't develop physically, and his mentality stays the same, and he doesn't develop, and we have Dead series. But Gohan can develop mentally and physically. That's established that he can develop on 2 levels. And if you were to bring up confidence, oh, well, he can develop with confidence as well. Say you were to disregard whatever I said. We see that Gohan has a confidence problem too. He's literally terrified of everyone that he sees. So that would just make Deku a 2-dimensional character while Gohan's still on that 3-dimensional plane, my guy.
Why am I seeing these memes? I actually like them.
But do you have a counter to anything so far?
I feel like we're going into more of a circular discussion with the Gohan points. Do you have another point we can go into?
Sure. So you haven't. Okay. So I'll just establish this. You haven't presented a reason why Deku getting a magical quirk is thematically important or relevant to any of the things you previously stated.
Because again, we've seen other people have been able to find opportunities to at least get to where they need to be. In terms of, wait, what's this? You're the second one who has pushed me this far after my. Okay.
Just come on, let's go. So like, okay, so sure, you're saying I'm going circular with the Gohan point. That's just due to the fact that you can't seem to comprehend.
I can,
point,
but I
right?
can.
All right. So are you okay? So are you comprehending why Gohan would be better, or even if you don't admit that, we can move on.
I've been in the exact same situation though. I'm not given like this really well, but at certain points when I go in for like with someone like Guam, but as someone who had like autism and was able to give a chance to take something like Guanfacine to help with my focusing issues, it was something that I was given the opportunity. Deku was able to get the opportunity to be able to have his own fucking dreams come true.
So I'll ask you, and please don't get offended. Get offended by this question, but it's related to this, right? So you had medicine that can help you, right? Fine. I would say that's more akin to a tool, right? This tool helps you progress. But did you get something that completely fixed it? Do you have something that erases it completely? It'll never affect you again.
I would become relatively normal, so
relatively, right? You get things that can help, but if it doesn't completely change, if it doesn't change, you're basically also, I would say, I don't know, I don't want to sound inconsiderate when I'm saying this because it's it's your own personal experience. I don't want to speak too heavy on it, right? But I would just say that basically something being given to you isn't you earning it. It's not something that's earned. It's something that you're given this opportunity that not everybody can identify with. Not everybody is someone who has that opportunity. Not everyone has that medicine, has that all might hair, has that one for all chance, has that ability to meet the number one hero in the entire world. But My Hero Academia is assuming that we do. It's assuming that everyone gets that chance, which I heavily agree with. I couldn't disagree with that more.
But why? Again, like I get.
But
like,
why? Do you want me to give you an example of the people? Hold on. Do you want me to give you an example of the people who are suffering just because they were born?
We've seen people be able to get a chance to like rehabilitate and get to like a certain end goal.
Everybody,
Yeah.
every single human.
No,
So
I'm
people
not
that
saying,
are so people that are born in third world countries. Hold on, people. Hold on, no. I want to ask. I want to ask because
take it down a few notches.
You claimed. Okay, then say it. Go ahead.
I was trying to let me rephrase that. A lot of people can like get an opportunity to at least get to when it comes to like, you know, when someone has to like, let's say, go for like rehabilitation, has to like they get to a certain end goal. The end goal there is to walk. And you're given that opportunity. Now, not everybody's going to get that opportunity, but I feel like sometimes you might see aberrations versus like the norm.
Sure. So I'll say this. So while Deku can only apply to certain people, Gohan can apply to everyone. You can identify with every single being, because every single human being has been a child. Every single human being has sometimes not had the strength, quote unquote, whatever you want to attribute that, quote unquote, to do something. Not everybody's had the confidence to do that same thing, right? But guess what? Not every like that's what I'm saying. Like this Gohan applies, like Gohan's character just applies to everyone, whereas Deku's only applies to a select few of people. Deku didn't have to earn what he has. Gohan did. Simple as that. But we can move on from this point, and we can get into, because I think I've thoroughly like proven why Dragon Ball Z would just have better development. But like if you want to move on to like fight scenes, that could be pretty interesting.
Why is
but yeah, like I'm basically saying like I mean I think I've thoroughly proven why, like with just two characters like Deku and Todoroki characters, like in the series, and like Gohan and Piccolo, not even the like I left Vegeta the sole reason of like he would just body the entire verse with his single-handed development. Move on to a different part. Move on to a different aspects.
No.
Do you want me to obliterate you on why Vegeta's better than any character?
I understand like you have the moment where he's like, Kakarot, you ruined me, but like
have the moment. Oh my god. Okay, so I've already like, whether or not you agree, it's fine. I don't care. But from my point of view, I've dismantled you on the reason why Gohan and Piccolo, who are the characters that don't.
No, you have not. No, you have not.
Listen, let me finish. Shut up for a second, please. If you want to make your point, wait, or just don't just make these little one sentence point. Make it and like let me speak. Okay, so I've already, like I said, from my point of view, dismantled you utterly on why Dragon Ball Z characters have better development. If you have a disagreement, state it now, because I want to move on to a different point. Or we can go to conclusions. Either way, it's fine.
How long have we been debating?
What? I don't know.
How long have we been debating? Like, okay, we've been debating since like, okay. I would probably have to say no, because again, you at least have not proved, because you have not you have not disproven the point again, like how someone can get to like a certain point. I understand that where people, but sometimes people can. There are also people who can also relate to a lot of other people when it comes to like developing mentally and physically versus physically. But like not everybody is under that mental and physical mindset.
Sure.
Like,
so is that what you want to? Is that what you want to leave the development segment off?
Yeah. All
right. So what other segment of a series do you want to move on to?
How about
we can move on to fighting if you want.
Oh
man. I mean, if you think that's only if you compare to Dragon Ball Z ones.
I would probably like to move on to actual themes.
Themes, sure.
Yes. So I would probably have to make my point that again that MHA has better themes because we have seen themes of abuse, trying to get to a certain point of hard work. We've tried to like look into, and of course we've tried to like overcome your own limitations. And could you bring up any themes from Dragon Ball that could probably be like as fruitful?
Sure. Okay, so a theme. Okay, so Okay, so you said a theme of what? Abuse and what? What else?
I would say like overcoming limitations, hard work, but I could you like bring up? But my question was not what I just stated. Could you bring up themes that are as fruitful as like Dragon Ball? Also,
Sure.
and also bring up like maybe
so-
not wanting to go back to
So
like the
themes of like say things like overcoming like your own like needs versus wants, right?
Yeah.
So there's the needs versus wants. There's the overcoming like the evils within your own heart. There's overcoming one's like lack of confidence. There's like if you want like I guess go into everything. So like briefly, Gohan's themes represent him finally coming into his own, him finally like realizing who he truly is. Vegeta's is, finally realized and his needs are completely different and he needs to realize that he has to prioritize. Piccolo realizing that not everyone has to view him as a monster within the world. Goku actually someone who's like kind of clowned on for not being that basically developed of a character actually realizes that not everybody is like him. He can't base his things off of like basically realizing that he has to understand other people's perspectives. So I guess, and then like now that I've said that, I just ask you why the theme of abuse is more important, or
because there are a decent amount of people who can at least relate to that. One, two, MHA portrays that theme very beautifully when we go into like something like I could like go back to like Eri again, but like,
okay.
but because again she had the theme of like how an actual term would have you like her being told that she's cursed, and eventually wanting to actually have her own Stockholm syndrome, which and eventually trying to at least someone overcome it. It's more like fast paced, but the theme of going for like that progression is there.
Okay. So, all right. So let me ask you, because you bring it up sometimes, do you think that like a theme being able to relate to more people is part of what makes a theme really good?
I don't think that. No, I would disagree with that.
So if a theme's very hyper specific, then it doesn't affect the quality of it.
Yeah, I feel like the theme has to at least have quality to it.
Well, yeah. So no, I'm not saying like if the themes. So say there's these like this theme of like whatever, like abuse, but say this theme only applies to a very small handful of people. Is the theme as powerful in your opinion, or no?
Yeah, because I think people can appreciate a good overcoming abuse story.
Okay, sure. So basically, like the fact that it applies to a lot of people is irrelevant, right? Do you agree? The only thing that you can, the only thing that you can like judge like a theme is on its merits. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think like I feel like it would have to like have quality and have decent merits. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, sure. So I'll attack the depth of like this like trauma or like this abuse, right? Because I think that My Hero, while it does tackle these and like these somewhat universal and large ideas that I would think could be done really well, I think that it does it at the most very basic level, right?
All right.
I also think that it doesn't expand on them very well, but let me get it. Ew, what the hell? Anyway.
Wait, what?
But anyways,
Oh my god.
Oh man. I mean, so all I basically I say that like it's similar to like the Todoroki problem. This theme isn't very developed very well, right? So it's Aries being abused, right? And she's being abused by Overhaul, and she has Stockholm syndrome, right? And I'm guessing I don't like, and I hope like you realize like how deeply ingrained like people that suffer from Stockholm syndrome, like they have it within their brain, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Eri even suffers from Stockholm syndrome, right? Because I think let me look it up. Let me see. I don't know. I may be getting it wrong, so let me not be retarded for a second.
It's not like
okay, yeah. So she doesn't, right? Because she knows Overhaul. Because Stockholm syndrome is just a trust or affection for kidnappers or hostages, like and hostage taking victims. So like Eri doesn't like have Stockholm syndrome towards Overhaul. She's just aware that like he tries to kill anyone who stands in the way. So I mean, I just say that like this isn't really like
but she's also willing to at least go back to the abuser.
Yeah, but the thing is, she doesn't feel affection towards it. That's not what Stockholm syndrome is. The thing is, you kind of ignoring context when you say that, just due to the fact that like the only reason Eri goes back, she actually hates over, like she cries when she's with him. And the only reason like she does like want to go back, so the people that are trying to save will just stop. Like she doesn't want any more people to get hurt. So like there's no attachment to Overhaul again. So I mean, I just take that as another misinterpretation of like the material that My Hero Academia presents, right? And whether or not that affects the story itself, it's
I don't think
kind of up to you. It doesn't necessarily, but I think that like it does challenge the validity of a lot of the themes that you're saying, because a lot of the themes don't necessarily fall under like, so for like the Stockholm syndrome, it falls under abuse, right? Like Aries clearly being abused, but she's not a victim of Stockholm syndrome. It handles it at a very brief and surface level, right? Aries being abused, she doesn't like it. People come to help, and guess what? She gets saved, right? And while obviously this is an upbeat shonen anime, they can't be having like you'll just get slaughtered or whatever, all this stuff. I don't think that it deals with like the really depths of it. Like, okay, when you're abused, right? It doesn't dive into like Stockholm syndrome, for example. It doesn't show the problems. It doesn't show that like sometimes you can be basically brainwashed by all of this, right? I think I think it just shows like the bare minimum. Like if you were to just imagine what abuse is like, it's just abuse in the most primal form. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think that the themes that Dragon Ball shows just goes into more depth, right? And you can defend your point before, like, because I don't want to talk too long, but you can defend your point on why MHA dives really deep into the themes. Before I get into why Dragon Ball like dives really heavy into certain stuff.
I think I want to hear your point there first before I make mine.
Sure. So I'll start off. I'll start off with one of the arcs that's actually seen as like the worst at this point. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the Boo arc, right? So hold on. Let me look something, because I don't want to use this word. I've been saying it and I'm like, yeah, wait.
You've been saying Naruto also, but yeah, you're good.
Not that. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, am I using dichotomy? Hold on.
False dichotomy?
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Usually a false dichotomy.
No, I got it. All right. Okay. So, all right. Here we go. Basically, let's talk about Vegeta for the Boo arc, right? Like just Boo and Vegeta, all right, in the Boo arc. So we see that there is like Boo and Vegeta are constantly being compared and contrasted with theories, right? This is like the desires versus the needs and the evil, right? It's like overcoming evil, right? We see that Vegeta and Boo are at this point in time direct opposites before Vegeta gets like the Majin seal, right? We see that Boo is the incarnation of evil, right? He destroys what he wants, when he wants, right? Vegeta is someone who's been settled down. He's been calmed down. He's been tamed, essentially, right? Yeah. Vegeta is someone who no longer is subject to those desires, at least at this point in time, right? Boo is this person who's just this complete monster, while Vegeta has become this very human and genuinely likable character at this point. He's a family man. He's someone that can be strong and can basically be a good father or be a good husband, or like basically know how to operate. Like he understands at the most basic level how to deal with other people, right? He's human, right? But the thing is, we see the evil and we see it creep into each other, right? We see as Boo becomes more and more innocent. It's, oh my God, it's so beautiful the way this happens, right? So like we see that like as time goes on and as Boo is just exposed to Earth, right? He becomes more pure. He becomes less angry. He becomes less violent because he doesn't lash out as much, right? The chaos within him, the evil within him, you could say, it settles down. And once again, it's a slow burn. It's not something that's just, oh, I'm evil, oh, I'm not. Like it's something that you see. Like initially, he destroys everything. Then when he sees Goku, right, we see that like he's like, oh, okay, like he's still kind of retarded, but like he's like, oh, okay, I'll just stop. Like I'll stop because I want to fight people, right? So he's like being tamed, right?
Yeah, and
he's slowly being tamed as this is happening. Or like, during this shift, Vegeta is being exposed to Babdi's world. He's being exposed to the same thing that Boo is being exposed to, right? This evil, this primordial just feeling of desire to destroy and wreak havoc on everything. Now, we see that as Vegeta starts to transform into a monster, Boo starts to transform into a human, right? And we just see how easily and how how simple it is for a human to slip into the shoes of a monster, and for a monster to finally become humanized, right? We see that Boo's evilness is actually like the stronger version of himself, right? Like there's so many things. Like we see that like and it's shown through like evil Boo, like the skinny Boo being stronger than fat Boo, that like evil is always going to be the easier way to like, it's the easiest way to go. It's the easiest way to attack, right? It's basically giving into your carnal desires, giving into the id, or I don't know if you know what that is, giving into like the most basic desires, the want to kill, to feed, to destroy, right?
Yeah,
No rational thought, right? It's so much easier.
Ego,
It's so much more powerful. It's just a so much more powerful thing than the good within your heart, right? Like, and we see that being like shown through Boo. Boo literally bodies the good part of him, right? He's showing, hey, it's so much easier to be evil. It's so much easier to give into this destruction feeling, this feeling of just absolutely just bodying everything that gets in your way than it is to be good, right? And we see that with Vegeta. As soon as Vegeta lets go of his humanity, as soon as Vegeta gives into the darkness, as soon as he lets evil consume him, he becomes that much stronger of a fighter. He gets the strength that he needs to match Goku. He gets the strength that he desired so much, the feeling that he wanted so much, right? And then it all culminates, right? We see Vegeta finally realize at the end of this arc, right? As he becomes a monster and as he shifts back into a human, he finally realizes the difference between his desires and his needs. He desires for destruction. He desires to kill. He desires to fight. He desires to be a Saiyan, right? But what he needs is his family. He needs his companions. He needs his loved ones. And he realizes that we see this when he hugs Trunks and he finally decides to fight for something truly other than himself. And we glimpses of that. We've seen this develop. We've seen this theme when Trunks dies, Vegeta goes off. He finally fights knowing that he can't beat Cell. His anger, the desire to protect his son overcomes him, right? So we've seen hints of this and finally see it transform. Vegeta finally becomes whole. Full circle. He is transformed. He's become he started evil, right? He became more human. He became an earthling. He went back, he dove back into his evil ways. And just before he fully became consumed, he understood. He decided to sacrifice himself for everyone that he loved. And in the end, Boo becomes human and Vegeta becomes human. But we always see that the strongest version of themselves is the evil version. Evil, like, it's always easier. They're always like the pull of evil is always much stronger than the pull of being good. It's always much easier to be good than to be bad than good. And that's what I think. Just one of the themes that just in the Boo saga, one of the self-proclaimed worst arcs, like, is able to show. My bad. Talked a little while, but
all right. I think I'll just make my point, and maybe we can then go to conclusions, I guess.
Sure.
All right. So I think when we go into like let me just try to get my thoughts a little bit into play. Okay.
Do you mind if I just get a drink of water real quick, and you can get your thoughts together, or whatever?
Yeah, sure.
All right, be right back.
As that's going on, this video is brought to you by NordVPN.
You gotta keep your security.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Switch to. I'm getting bored. Okay, there we go. All right. So I would have to like go into like the more again to go back into like the theme of abuse. I could probably go into like how that's a bit as a narrative is like has a lot more of those merits than MHA. Even you've made the point that you think that it covers into like a more basic level, but when we have to like look into like the actual like storyline, you have to look into think about this again. Eri as a person was more so someone who was seen as a curse, and then you eventually had to like look at for her entire life treat as something as more of a piece of crap. She hadn't found something that anyone who was able to love to give her that type of warmth. Then we go into like the first time that she meets Izuku. She finally feels it. She gets a taste of it. It's like right there, like in her grasp, and then she has to be separated away because she is still want to be in the type of like mindset of like, okay, I still have to go back to him, and she wants to at least keep those people there. There's the trust that there is the trust that if she goes back to him and everything's okay, nobody will be harmed in the process. When we go into like, and then when we get into like again when we talk about more of the more recent arcs, we have to, MHA. We eventually see Deku trying to have the struggle of trying to go between, I let this girl go, I let this girl potentially go for more trauma. I had her right in my hands, and yet I lost her. It was, and then he goes for like some of those regrets that because he had at that point experienced a massive failure on his end. And when we go into like, it was for Mario, it also looked into development of his case because he was the one, because he also let go of somebody innocent, and if he can't save that one person, how the fuck can he save a million people? And hence the name when we go into like Lemillion. When we go into like, when we talk about the base, so even if you go into like the themes of like, I could also make the argument that we've also seen some interesting themes of redemption as well, because Deku's gone through, because in just like the more recent arc alone, we've seen Deku at least try to go for some of his more recent arcs of redemption after having gone for all the development that has gone. How will Deku respond to potentially not having All Might there as someone who can't really buff up anymore, and can he like get, and is he ready for the torch to be passed down to him? And then we get our answer. Deku's able to show Tsuranagi, who didn't even believe in Deku at first, that he can actually be a bit more of a that he's able to, that he can change fate when so many times out of 10 his quirk has just shown nothing but pain and misery. Now we've also seen Deku. So not only does in like an entire arc, Deku is able to like be a force to like not only have Eri overcome her trauma and abuse, but we've also seen Eri be able to overcome be able to overcome her issues, and finally having like the nod, I need to be saved, I need to find that warmth again. As we get further into that arc, we see Deku finally is able to finally embrace Eri, and then we see when he was supposed to potentially die, Deku is able to overcome that by using Infinite 100% one for all, and is able to change fate and not die to Chisaki. Fate has changed.
Okay.
And it kind of goes into like some of those other themes within the arc, such as change your fate, redemption, regret, sorrow. It's like you have a good amount of like a different tone, emotion, themes going on in the entirety of the arc. But like, and then in terms of like, when we go I've been more so harping back to some of the more earlier stuff of NHA, like the Todoroki versus Deku fight. We've also seen even some of the more minor characters go for like their own like arrest with, when we saw like when Ito saw what happened to his brother and trying to redeem himself for that, and it's able to like, and then we had like the entire fight with Stain. We've seen like he's going for like some of those events of like sorrow, because there are people who have had like their relations to having someone be trying to at least help a family member the best they can. But we've also seen like, and in Ito's mind was to defeat the person who did that, to do that to his brother, since again this is Hero Society. And in the I could probably also go back to, which was around the host, but we could also even go back to earlier of like to some of the other fights, we see Ochako versus Bakugo. Ochako is trying to show herself and go beyond her limits, and not only be someone that can be admired for Deku, but someone who she can admire. And she's eventually slowly trying to find herself